Welcome to the SoNo Show, episode 37, Thunraz the Thulian, with Hanz Hugren. He is the author of this book. Today, I feel like Tom Metzger hosting a show of Race and Reason in which he promoted O.T. Gunnarson's book. But this is decades later, of course. This is in the 2020s, and I'm Southern Nordic, and this is my friend Hans. Hans, how are you doing today?
Doing just fine, Southern, and hello everyone, and thank you for hosting me here. I'm
Oh,
very,
I'm
very happy that I could do so.
I'm happy to do it. Very happy to be able to help. I know we'd planned on doing this for a couple of months or so, and
hmm
you know, it's finally here. It's finally ready. So,
Yeah,
Hans, if you want to, the book is called Thunraz the Thulian, Clash of the Scythiae. Scythiae. I'm probably butchering that, unfortunately. How do you pronounce it, my friend?
uh, Thunraz the Thulian, Clash of the Scythiae.
Scythiae. Well,
It's
I
all
really
fine
enjoyed
and
this
well.
little book. I
Yay?
really enjoyed it. Um, I've been reading a lot of serious stuff. It seems lately, a lot of different subjects. All of them are serious. This book was a nice little adventure. Um, I
hmm
really enjoyed it. You did really well with it. So I guess I'll let you take the floor here. Give us your thoughts. Like, what uh, what would you say inspired you to write this little work?
Well, to begin with that, it's actually multi-layered. There is a lot that inspires me in general, but I guess it has a lot to do with my upbringing and the choices that I made through life that naturally will influence my works, right?
Yes.
Uh, it's a like I'm almost fighting to choose which topic to go into first. But I think let's just maybe begin with the general inspirations, if you will, and if there is something that really intrigues you, we can go into the detail of that. See, for people who know me, I have a vested interest, and I'm very much drawn to the ancestry of the European people or peoples, depending on how you want to look at that. Uh, the deities, the mythology, the stories, the heroism, all of that. It always has really compelled me to look into it. Uh, and as you put it there, with reading a lot of serious material, I find that for the myths, you can learn a lot out of them, but it retains a certain quality that really pulls you in a way that dry reading, factual as it may be, simply does not do, right? There is
Yes.
it's a bit more mm, it pulls at the soul in a healthy way. It draws you in with emotion as much as with thought. And that is something I definitely wanted to go for. And yeah, what you might say, European ancestry, European mythology, that's really the style that really fed into the style I wanted to go into. So in that sense, I was inspired there. Um, but also different characters or the archetypes even that people represent in these stories. The Jungian archetypes, I I need to read a bit more into Jung myself, or at least that is what I want to do. But what I have garnered from him, for example, also is these archetypes that keep coming back in our stories and actually live in us, if you will, or in one's self.
Yes.
That is also something that really, yeah, feeds my writing or helps me write, if you will. It's one of the, you could say, tools by which I function, with which I work. Um, yeah, as for further material that really pulled me into writing this book, it's the, for example, Professor Tolkien's works, which I've read,
Right.
where you have these core values, as in taking responsibility, protecting your land, uh, what to do if your civilization has fallen, even, and how to deal with that, reclaiming lost land, fighting evil, and striving to be good rather than be in this sort of moral neutral zone, amoral perhaps even. Uh, the Actually, and also recently, the works of Robert E. Howard have also really given me a lot to look into, like in how to draw out, yeah, how to make a character more compelling. The the raw vitality of nature, for example, that he represents is something that I definitely wanted to introduce with my own twist, and in a world that is, well, comes from my mind, if you will,
Yeah.
and while still making it my own, seeing at, yeah, looking at the masters of yore, and then seeing like how, what can I as a pupil of them, in a sense, learn from that, is it's also one of the ways how I really, uh, yeah, how I proceeded with the writings that I've gotten into. So particularly this book, of course. I think the artistry in and of itself is also very close to representing that. Do you want me to go on? I mean, I can,
Oh, I was about
but
to
at the
say,
disappointment that you,
I was going
yeah,
to, yeah, I agree with you. You know, a lot of these archetypes are,
yeah,
you know, it's like you said, they recur. You know, this is a reflection of what I would call, you know, the native European
hmm,
biospirit, or the native European racial soul, you could say. Um,
yeah,
I was going
yeah.
to let me cut on my camera here. I've got a copy of the book in my hand. I was going to show everybody right quick. Let me see. Am I able to start my camera? That's a good question. Let's see. Um, well,
If I'm
tech.
all over the place, just let me know when time right, because there's so much I want to say, and
Oh
I
no, you're
rather not
fine.
miss anything. Yeah, okay.
All
Just
right, I got it.
happy to be able to speak. Oh, there we go.
Here is a copy of Thunraz the Thulian. The Thulian.
And a big
As you
thank
see,
you to the artist.
a very muscular man there. I wish I had lats the size of this guy.
I think we
Uh,
all do.
yes, I mean those lats are impressive. That's a lot of man. Oh man, it's I'm envious. As you can see here, it is published by DVX Publishing.
Hmm.
I see here that the
Big
cover
thank you
art
for the
was,
guys.
yeah, that's the publishing house that our friend Ronan runs. I noticed whenever I cracked open this book a couple of months ago, the cover art was by a guy named Censored Anon. I know of Censored Anon. I've never spoke to him personally, but I'm aware of him. I thought it was pretty cool. You see the back here. This book is well, I'm trying to get used to using the camera on the laptop there. This book is it's a short book. It's, let's see, I believe it's 68 pages. 68 pages.
Yeah, but between, it depends a bit. Some copies are a bit longer for editing reasons or what have you. But yeah,
Yeah,
for some it's 70-ish, for other it's close to 80-ish, as far as I'm aware.
yeah. Um, when did you get the idea to write this book? Is this something that, well, what I'm trying to ask is, when did you come up with the character of Thunraz?
I've actually gotten that question quite a bit by now. Um, it's and I'll answer it in a more profound way, as oh, that I've developed, let's say, because I've had the question a few times, is it depends. When it's not just Tunras himself as a character, it's all the characters that appear. Sometimes, for me at least, it's like the character was always there and just still needed to get a name. As far as with other characters, the name appears, and the character itself evolves from there. It may sound a bit weird, but I'm not actively sitting somewhere and thinking about, oh, oh yeah, this is Thunraz, and he needs to be this and he needs to be that. No, it sort of naturally flows from, from wherever it flows, from inspiration, I suppose you could call that.
Yeah.
The very book, the entire story in and of itself is, it just flows out of me, if you will, comes from my fingertips. I consider myself a bit of a, you could say, a medium rather
Yes.
than an active inventor of the story. And
You're a
yeah,
vessel, you could say.
that's, come again.
I said it's like you're a vessel, you could say. I
Yeah,
know
I mean, I give it my own
it
twist, and
channels
I
through
mean,
you,
yeah,
you
I
could
would
say.
say so. It's to what can you compare this? I suppose if the vessel is round, well, then the result is going to be a bit more round, even though whatever the original version of what came into the vessel was, right?
Yeah.
And I think in that sense, I leave my own influence in the story, but it definitely flows in from, yeah, I guess from the inspiration. Dare I say divine inspiration?
Yeah. Well, I
But
mean,
yeah,
I think
that's
I think all inspiration has a bit of divinity to it for sure. Um,
there is definitely that spark.
let's see. Like I said, this book, it's a nice little short book. I was able to read
Mm,
it in uh, 2 days, basically. And I mean, if I
yeah,
had sat down, I probably could have read through it all in one sitting, to be honest. Um,
if you really want to, yes.
there's
There
five.
is actually,
Yeah, go
come
ahead.
again?
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead.
well, yeah, so what I wanted to do when I wrote the story, because technically I could keep going on and on and on, so until I have like this vast tome, right? And there are definitely practical reasons why the book is the size as it is right now. I've had some friends and some people in general come to me and say, "Oh man, I would just wish the story was a bit longer," which is,
Yeah, I
I mean,
seen.
I'm very grateful.
I was gonna
Hey,
say I seen you mention that in one of your videos. Like
yeah.
a lot of your the people that had read it, they were like, "Oh man, I wish it was longer." Um,
Mhm.
so you plan on releasing a series of these stories, correct?
Uh, I'll get back to you on that. But the main reason why the book is the size it is because I think that in today's society, everyone is so hung on to his phone, hung on to his PC, hung on to his PlayStation, and all of that stuff. I think, especially for younger folk, to be reintroduced into literature, into reading, um, it needs to come in small bites at first. I I definitely I definitely think that, or I definitely want people to, yeah, to appreciate the book again. Just sit underneath a tree somewhere and just go through it and
Yeah,
have your time with it. But yeah, an experienced reader will devour this book in no time. Someone who's new to it might have his or her appetite whetted, and that's definitely something I really wanted to do. I think a lot of people have a need for that or a requirement for that to then be allured to bigger tomes, if that makes sense.
oh yeah,
So that in
it's like
that
the
sense, it was a
appetizer
bit of
before a
a,
meal.
yeah, exactly, exactly. It also helps me to see like what is the point of me writing for let's say 2 years and I have this vast tome and people are going to be scared of picking it up, or if
Yeah,
people um, might have not gone for the story in and of itself. I now know that there is really this appreciation for it. So now I am also motivated myself to do more, right?
yes,
And again, practical reasons. We all come out of, what the last 2 3 years, what a mess it has been for everyone. There is that unfortunate material aspect to keeping it in short bursts for now. But yeah, to come back to your question about uh, yeah, writing more books, it's definitely something I seek to pursue now.
Yes.
The main thing for me right now is to make sure that enough people know about Thunraz the Thulian, and then the second book of Thunraz the Thulian will follow from there, depending on the reach. And of course, there is. I've said it in one of my recent videos that I have only so much time in the day myself to dedicate myself to this writing. Doesn't mean will stop doing it. Absolutely not. I will continue. Uh, but yeah, the speed of it all. If I can pull more energy towards writing, well, of course you're gonna have more writing. That only makes sense, right?
Yes.
Uh, so yeah, more stories will follow provided I have the opportunity to do so, and that largely depends on the people who are so helpful and generous to spread the word, and to buy a copy. One of the two or both, it's all good. It would be really appreciated. And
Yeah. Well,
and
it's
yeah,
it's
that's it. All depends on that, truly. And then
well,
eventually, yeah, maybe real quick to throw it in there.
yeah.
If I reach this certain point where I can really invest a good amount of time a day or what have you into writing, then the successive new books will become thicker. Like I work towards a certain minimum in words, and then from there on, I push onwards depending on how much time I have and all of that. Yeah. So there you
Absolutely.
go.
Guys, I was going to throw a link to Hans's YouTube channel in the chat right now. Check him out. There
I've
it
got
is.
yeah, I've got a beautiful scenery in my second last video at this point.
Oh, I know. It looked like you'd been swimming. Looked like you'd been out at the lake. Looks beautiful
Yeah,
up there.
I could spare myself a moment and went out into nature, which again is also a big inspiration in my writings. Nature has its place in there, absolutely.
Yes.
But you need to be in it to be inspired by it. There is that.
Yeah, it's
It's
true.
the process of writing my books. However other writers do so, I really need to be in the thick of it, if you will. I do not write about things that I do not necessarily have had experience with. I mean, that could actually be pretty dark very quickly.
Yeah.
No, I mean in the sense of uh, I need to have had like some sort of personal experience in something before I really write about it. And in regards to dealing with animals and with uh, with seeing vast landscapes or even wandering around in them and all of that stuff. For
Yes.
me, it really helps if I've actually done something as such or something closely to that. Of course, in the book, it's going to be, I mean, it's fantastical, right? It's high adventure, so it needs to be pulled to its maximum and all of that to keep it to make it even that more gritty and visceral and awesome. But yeah, there you go.
And it's
So
it's
there is
awesome.
that. There is that to it too. Yeah. And yeah, for those some people then might wonder, so Hans, have you ever done anything with swords, etc., etc.? And Hans has done stuff with swords and helmets and all that good stuff.
Oh, really? You ever done any fencing? Like, how people
No
fence?
fencing or no official sports, but I have done some what would you call that? I suppose reenactment, but
Yeah.
with steel, with actual
Yes.
with iron weaponry and all of that. And yeah, it's fun, it's pretty intense, and you will see some of my experiences, if you will, translated into some stuff that happens in the book too.
You know, what was I going to say? Let me pull it up here. So let's see, how long, writing is something that I was interested in as growing up. We had, uh, I had a few, I went through the public education system here in East Tennessee. And
Hmm.
I'll be honest, the little rural mountain school I went to, it ain't no sort of bright light in the academic world by any means, but I did have a couple of
That's maybe
teachers
for the
that
best.
nowadays, yes, I definitely think so. I mean, with a lot of the shit and filth
Yeah,
that you
yeah,
see,
yeah.
the
I get you.
educational
I get
system.
you.
I was going to say, how long did it take you to write this 70 pages? I'm just curious about that.
Uh, well, I mean that's a bit of a difficult one. I mean, because I could say, oh, it took me half a year,
Yeah,
but that's because I'm a working man and all of that stuff.
yeah.
I have family to look after like everyone else, so that takes up a lot of time and yeah, it draws things out. Um, so to say how long has it been, I cannot answer you that
Oh,
um,
I
with
understand.
precision. But let's
Yeah,
say that, with the current life I'm living, I suppose the lifestyle or whatever you want to call that, uh, yeah, between 5 to 4 months, more or less, and then an additional month of editing and all of that, and figuring out what artwork to go with, and so forth and so on. So
I'd
yeah,
say it was
something
an
like that.
interesting
So
process, wasn't it?
it's well, for me, I mean, it's my first book, so it's something that I've always wanted to do, and I do consider this a vocation. Part of this work has a spiritual element to it, to me. I
Yeah,
really think I'm
as
meant
it
to do
should.
stuff like this, and yeah, that actually kind of. Yeah, in a sense, I think I'm meant to write. Now, whether I'm specifically meant to write this, I can only say that these are the stories and beings that flow, from wherever they come, through me, if you will. I might give
Yes.
them, I might dress them up here and there, but the true characters themselves come from somewhere else. And yeah, does that answer your question a little?
Oh, that's a great answer. Great answer. Let's see. My friend Amara Arian, he mentioned, he didn't ask. He said M1 knife fighting is neat. Is that something? Is that similar to the reenactment you had done?
I have
I'm just
actually done
curious.
some. Well, I fought with varying weaponry and a bit of fisticuffs as well. I've done some street boxing, as that's called. Yeah, just really
Ah,
street self-defense sort of stuff. I've done that too. Um,
yeah.
yeah, but some knife fighting was actually in there, and none of these little pig stickers. I'm talking about, yeah, not exactly short swords either, but what
Machetes.
would be a no, no machetes. It's, let's say, half a machete, something like that.
The machete
Uh,
seems to be the
the
choice weapon of the migrants in Europe. It appears.
Oh, you know what? What is a good if yeah, you need to go to my Viking series on School of the West by Brand Danger. Just throwing that in there real quick. Excellent guy,
Yeah.
by the way. And in one of my videos, I can't remember exactly which one. It must be maybe the third episode, or is it the second? One of the two, where I actually go through a bit of weaponry that they used to have back in the day, and the seax. I've done some stuff with that, which is a lot of fun.
Oh, I bet. I really enjoyed your Vikings well-being series. The video that you talked about how they made their clothing. I thought that was really
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah,
Really
they are.
enjoyable.
It's perhaps a bit off topic, but yeah, they are. These people knew what was up. They knew how to create color. They knew how to weave. They were probably far better than we are today at that in
Oh,
general,
I
because
mean,
now it's all
yeah.
industrial and cookie cutter. These people did not have that. They needed to figure it out on them by their own selves, or learn it from mom and grandma, that sort of stuff. And yeah, the creating the fabrics and treating the fur, the leather, all of it's a small science in and of itself.
Yeah. I'm sorry I got cracked up by the barking snail, his profile picture that I just posted. I'm sorry about
It's
that. Arkansas
it's
style.
okay.
Arkansas style with a Bowie knife. Only way to play. Anyways,
Mm.
but yeah, you know, things were so much better back then. Everything was handcrafted.
Well,
When people when people bought a pair of shoes, I'm really interested in like how people fashioned boots back in the day, back
I
centuries
actually
ago.
have some yeah, the Viking series. I cannot continue with it for now. I really want to, but yeah, the little time I have goes to my writings.
Yeah.
I can tell you though, I have been digging into how they made shoes and all of that. There are actually manuals out there that tell you how they did it. So, yeah, I need to look into that again though. But yeah, there's like a lifetime's worth of information on making shoes alone, as far as I can tell,
Oh,
since those days. Yeah.
being
So,
a cobbler was a respected profession. I would imagine. You know, that's an important thing.
well,
When people bought clothes, well, whenever they had their clothes and their shoes, their boots, they wanted them to last a long time. So you took them to get them mended. You didn't just discard them like you do nowadays.
yeah, it wasn't so easy to get shoes back then. And yeah. Um, But yeah, I'm willing to talk about it. But shall we? Let's stick to the book for a while, and I'll get back to the Viking series. Does that sound?
Yeah, that's fine.
I have time, so it's all fine with me.
Let's see. You know, you it's like you in your book you've created your own little world. I like the
Hmm.
tribalistic nature of the book. You
Yeah, the
describe
this
the
is.
yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, no, no. By all means, and maybe I can even add something to my answer.
Oh, well, I was just going to say that the book, you describe these different territories, these different
Yeah.
tribes that they
Hmm.
know of each other. Like the protagonist, Thunraz, he is a Thulian, and
Yes.
he ends up, it's interesting. Like the Scythiae are, they kind of remind me of,
Yeah.
nomadic steppe warriors, you could say.
Hmm. There
Um,
is, well, I guess that's, yeah, it answers to yet, yeah, it answers to your initial question, like where do I draw my inspirations from? And again, it's fantastical in a sense, but a lot of what I write about is rooted in mythology, it's rooted in history, but it's, it's its own world, if you will. I am not
yes.
drawing some, like, I'm not writing about our own world. I am writing about the world in and of itself, in its own cosmology and all of that, which is also part of the writing in the future. Should I be able to get into that? Um, but yeah, the peoples that I describe, they are aware of each other. It's not this stereotypical idea of everyone lived in caves and they barely knew, who lived, two rivers away from them or any of that. No, no, these people are aware for most part who lives where, what do they get up to, and who is who are kinsmen and who are not. For Thunraz, this is very important, for example, to be able to
Yeah.
make that distinction because it's a big drive of him. It's yeah, and you have the Scipii. Yeah, I think the three main groups that are introduced
The
in this book,
Atlan,
uh,
Atlan
the
people.
Atlan,
Yeah,
the Atlan, the Scipii, and the Thulians, and there are already there are tidbits of yet other tribes, but I'm not gonna say it. You have to
yeah,
figure it out on your own.
yeah, absolutely.
If should my writings continue, yeah, that there's going to be a lot more meat on that bone in
Oh
the
yeah,
coming days.
I thought it was interesting. I liked it. I hadn't
Hmm.
read any sort of fantasy work in quite some time, to be honest. Um,
It's, I think, also maybe it's worth mentioning that the reason why I went with this, like some people might say, well, Hans, why you love history? Why not why not write a book on the Vikings? Why not write a book on the Slavic tribes, the Lemnos or the Veleti, and all of these guys? Why not just make a dry historic work? And the answer is actually there in the question that I I so much think that also in the white well-being sphere in general, we have excellent works out there, but we don't really have just just fun, just straight up entertaining,
Yes.
fun writings that you can get with heart and soul and mind combined, not just the mind alone, get completely drawn in. And in a sense, I won't say lose yourself, but I'll say something like you can uh, you can really indulge in it for a bit, and maybe you take something out of that. And and at the very least have just something fun that you can sit back in your couch and enjoy as well. While you're here and there, you're learning names, or you might take some, like, how are these people interacting with each other? You may get some characters that you like more than others, that sort of thing. And yeah, maybe take something of that with you in life if you want to. Like, that's always my main thing. If you want to, you
Yeah.
have to have fun with it. And I think that is something that, in large part, I was missing that at any rate. I really enjoy just having a good time and being a bit silly and being a bit what have you. That's and we need more of that. Sure, the situation that we find ourselves in with anti-whites who want to harm us in every possible way, it is serious and it should be taken serious. But I do think at the same time that if you do not allow yourself a laugh and a smile here and there, then you're still missing out on life. And nobody of us should do that to oneself. We should not do that to ourselves. Allow yourself a laugh and a smile once in a while. Allow yourself to just relax a little bit, because you're going to be all the more energized for it in the end anyway. And that is saying, my books are, it's not that they're only for people. Anyone can read them. Anyone is welcome to get a copy. But I think for those who are really in the Y positive sphere specifically, there is that value to it too. And that's why I chose, yeah, I guess chose fantasy in general, high adventure, rather than something more dry and to the point. And yeah,
Well, you know,
that's what I wanted to say on that.
well, I was going to say, a lot of this, I mean, you could do the dry historical sort of work, but man, a lot of that
Yeah, I
stuff
mean
has
that's
just been
fine.
done. This academic stuff, it's been done over and over and over.
And
Every
it
now
has
and
its
then you'll find,
place.
yeah,
Yeah.
it has its place. But you touched on something that I think is important. Is you know on this side of things, broader, not just like your white positivity sort of sphere, but just the broader racialist sphere, is there's not a lot of
Yeah.
man, there's not a lot of humor. There's not a lot of fun. I mean, even the stuff that I
Yeah.
produce is I mean, it's serious, I like to have in real way, and I think we need to add more
Mhm.
levity. We need to add more humor. You have to have fun. If things aren't fun, I'll just be blunt, it kind of sucks. I don't
It's
like going to
also, yeah.
I was going to say I don't like
Yeah.
going to work every day because I mean, I don't have fun at work. And
It's yeah, yeah, yeah.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
It's to have that, yeah, and that's what I definitely wanted to bring in with my books, and that maybe other people that care might might go a bit more for that as well. It's how shall one put it? Like I say, there is a certain energy, a healthy energy that also will draw more people in. Because if you're serious all the time, you can be the best guy in the world. You can have all the right intentions. You can do all the right things. But if you're trying to pull people in because because of with rigidity and duty, and which are duty can be a very healthy, positive thing in your life, but you cannot allow it to suck the soul right out of you, right? It's you need to give warmth to to yourself in that sense, and a laugh helps with that. I think there would be far more people who, well, as you put it, racialist sphere, there would be far more people interested if there was room for laughter, if there was room for a joke once in a while. Don't take yourself, take the situation seriously, but don't take yourself too serious. And laugh about,
Yeah,
just have a good time. You need your what is it called again? You need your jester at the court as well.
yes, you
And I'm
do.
not saying that that's exactly what I'm doing, but it speaks closer to that type as well. That juggle some balls in the wall, I guess.
Yeah,
Just spit some fire for just because you can, that sort of thing. Yeah, yeah, and I hope with my books I can also let people see that a little. It's like, oh, you read one of my books and you think to yourself, "Hmm, yeah, yeah, you know what? This actually did me good. This is the break I didn't know I needed." That sort of thing.
yeah,
And then you're good again. You can be twice the man that you were like 15 minutes before or whatever it's going to be.
absolutely. Um, that's I don't know, man. I think that's one reason why, you know, I've heard my friends that have been around in this longer making content. They said things were a lot more fun basically up until about 2020 or 2021. And, it's like
Hmm.
it's not as humorous. There used to be podcasts and streams that were absolutely hilarious. I've managed to listen to a few of them. They still don't make them anymore, but man, I would be dying laughing because it was funny, man. That comedy is something that I think we need to try to look
Hmm.
into as well.
And it shows,
But yeah,
yeah, because yeah, it's also too serious. If you're too serious, you align yourself with these these Hollywood stereotypes of like the dry creatures that cannot crack a smile, and it's all about, "Oh, you need to do this, you need to do that." You can't be that guy. Yeah, it's just not healthy for you, for the ones who do this, and it's not sexy to anyone who might be interested into coming and listening. So yeah.
yeah. I was just going to ask you. I seen Will M. He mentioned in the chat the Bizarre Archives is our guys in the pulp fiction world. Have you ever heard of the
Haven't heard
Bizarre
of them.
Archives? I think
No,
I
that's
think
that's a new
that's
name to me.
I think that's Dave Martell. That's his project he has going on. Um,
I see.
but yeah, like I said, man, I really enjoyed this book. I want to see if I can throw a link. I've got a link in the description box. I don't know if it will work, but if someone from the chat will click on this link that I'm going to post, it's a long link. I don't know if it'll work. Let me see
Yeah.
here. I'll see if I can get it.
Hopefully it does.
All right, here it is. There you go, guys. There's a link. If someone could I mean, look at that link. That link's like, man,
Yeah,
that's
that's a bit
that's a
much.
mass of text.
Whoa.
If somebody could plug that in and see if it actually worked, I'd appreciate it. Um, but yeah, I let's see. Is there anything else here? I don't
Hmm.
want to dive too deeply into your book because we want to encourage people to buy it. I mean, this ain't no some sort of this ain't some sort of stupid ass grift. We're not on here asking for damn donations. Get yourself a fucking book. Don't this ain't oh, it
Yeah,
works.
that's
Oh hell
I
yeah.
actually wanted to throw that in there. It's I've also never felt comfortable with just asking for something as such. If I'm going to get anything, I want to be able to deliver something in return as well, something that you can hold in your hands, preferably, right?
Yes,
Uh,
absolutely.
so yeah, it's so there is that, and as many people that I over the years that I've talked with who keep speaking about, yeah, we need our own economy, etc., etc. Okay, well, that means that there are products that are required to put it in these cold terms. So I just figured, well, this is something I really wanted to do, and I really put myself into it, whether whether I was about to fall over with exhaustion or not. Um, but now I wanted to present a book, and if people want to support me with that, that would be really appreciated. Um, but yeah, just asking for money just because I quickly make a video or anything like that, no, I do not like that either. Some people do that and they can. I'm not going to stop them either, but I myself do not really want to be part of something as such. But that's me. Yeah.
Yeah, the link works. That's awesome. That's like I said. I just posted in the chat. I said
Okay.
thanks, guys. I ain't I ain't got a big audience, but I got the best audience. You know.
Thanks, guys, for checking it
So
out. And hopefully you'll enjoy the book. Already some people mentioning that they're gonna get one. So
yeah,
enjoy the book.
and I
And
mean
this is
it's
also something after reading it, I'm more than happy to get feedback on it too, right? Whatever it's going to be, whether you like it, then let me know. And if you think it can do better, then also let me know. Because I like to perfect my work as well at the same time. I mean, I will, provided I have the opportunity, I will keep writing, and I like to improve myself, strive towards perfection, even though it's unreachable.
hey,
That
that's
sort of
just
thing.
it's not so much the destination; it's the journey itself. You know.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you.
Um, You know, and in this book, man, it was refreshing because it's like it's fiction and it's something that I have not read much of lately. The last probably couple of years.
Hmm.
It's a story it's action packed. It's got
Hmm.
ritual. It's got one of the parts I really enjoyed is how, which I don't want to give too much away here, so I'll be careful. How Thunraz has to go through these sort of initiation rites with the
Yeah, that
Scythiae.
one. Yep. Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
that is
And it's
important.
yeah.
That's something we lack today. That's something that we lack. We need desperately. I mean, at least for young men, there is no sort of rites of passage nowadays. Um,
Hmm.
you know, and that's something
The
that's
thing
needed.
is, the thing is also that the rituals that he goes through, they're like it's not even about him needing to be this precise, type of being or need to have these sort of skills. It's really about how he deals with it, that they can discern, that the people who are watching him can discern him by. That really matters more because they, I shall one put it, yeah, not spoiling anything. Uh, or I shall put it this way: the rituals that he goes through, if you want to use that word, the initiations or what have you that he goes
Yes,
through, he does it definitely in his own way, and that is part of what I found very interesting myself. Is like, um, yeah, I'm not gonna go too much into it.
well,
I have to
I
be
was
vague.
gonna, I was gonna,
Unfortunately, I have to
no,
be vague.
fine. I was gonna say I really enjoy how you contrast the cultures of uh, Thunraz and his native Thulia with those of the
Hmm.
Scythiae tribes. I thought that was
Yes.
interesting, and I mean, you've
Yeah,
got.
they are. Yeah.
Oh,
Hmm.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, they have. There are definitely distinctions. It's not like. Oh, we're all of the same people, so we're all cookie cutter. No, nothing like that. That's unnatural in the first place. People adapt to the lands that they're in as well, right? To the
Yes.
resources available to them, the creatures that they're surrounded with, all of that. So, and also it changes in a sense the type of person you're gonna get. Um, uh, it's a bit this is a bit simplistic how I explain it here, but in some regions you might have guys that are more leaner, and in other regions you're gonna need guys that are more robust to survive.
Yes.
And nature kind of molds man, one way or the other over the span of a lifetime, multiple lifetimes, however you want to look at that.
Generations. Yes.
Yes.
Evolution. Evolution. Um,
Yeah, part of it. Hmm.
let's see. I mean, it's got everything. It's got violence. It's got ritual. It's even got sex. I mean, but you're very tasteful. It's not some sort of
I
degenerate
Yeah.
stuff. You were very tasteful
Yeah,
in describing
I
that.
I mean, there
It's the
the
spoils of war. The spoils of war is what
spoils of
they
war.
call
Those are the spoils of just being a capable lad. Who knows?
it. Yes,
The
just being capable.
yeah, the thing with sexuality, it's part of life, and I really can't stand. Like it's for me what I find so sad in, let's say, society today. in the 21st century is that you find these two extremes of extreme prudishness. Oh, you can't talk
Yes, I
about it.
hate extreme
It's no.
prudishness, to be
And then on
honest.
the other side, you have absolute deviancy. And
Yes,
like, where is the healthy? It's not even about the healthy center. Like, those two are just these two components that are ripped away from just healthy sexuality. And I guess the way how it's presented in the book is going to confront some people with their own way of looking at that, perhaps. But I think I've done it in a, yeah, as you put it, a tasteful enough way that you can just sit back and think, huh, hmm, yeah, and then you can agree with it or disagree with it. That's fine. You can just take it in for what it is. You can
yeah,
just be like, oh, that's amazing. Well, yeah, maybe we should look at it that way, or what have you. Whatever people are gonna do with it, that's all up to them, to the reader in question. Uh, but I definitely the the depravity or like the rigidity around sexuality, I can't stand it. It's unhealthy either way, and
yes,
we could really do with some cultural pieces that pull us towards something that's yeah, just healthy for the soul, that is more natural, perhaps, that is um not as not random or particularly clumsy or what have you. It's not just two people just you know getting off on each other either. There is far more to it.
yes.
It's, or at least that's how I wanted to present it.
I think you did an outstanding job with it, you know. And
I
I think
appreciate that.
that's so important about what you said. There is no healthy center. William, he said Conan is the healthy center. And you
Yeah,
mentioned
Conan the Barbarian.
that was one of your inspirations, wasn't it? Robert E. Howard.
Well, bear in mind, yeah, Robert T. Howard is he wrote more than Conan the Barbarian, of course. I've had some. It's actually funny because some people kept referring to Thunraz as Conan the Barbarian. Some
I mean,
people
well,
did. It's like,
the
no, no, guys, that's another guy who wrote
yeah,
Hanz. That's not me. Um, but for some reason, people seem to link Thunraz to Conan. I guess it is part of the
I think it's the
aesthetic, I
cover of the
suppose.
book. To be honest, I mean,
I think that is a
he
big
does
part
have a
of it.
resemblance. Those massive
Yeah,
lats of
it's
his.
physically, I suppose it's the physicality, because as characters, Conan is, mm, how shall I put it? The way how I see it is that uh, if Thunras is the earth, then Conan is fire or something like that. Conan the Barbarian as a character, I see him more as uh, really wild, really likes
Yeah,
to indulge in himself and just lives lives to the fullest, but in a bit more of an excessive way. Whereas Tunras is is driven by, come from a completely different point. Tunras is more driven by, you could say, self-imposed duty, uh,
yes,
a certain like hard ass compassion, tough love, that sort of thing. Conan wants to have a good time. Tunras um, wants to lift people up, but while he himself is just doing what he is meant to do at the same time. Like yeah, he's not necessarily. mm, they're both living for themselves, but whereas the one guy is out for a good time, the other guy is more like, oh, okay, but he's a bit more high-minded, I suppose. Tundras is a bit more high-minded, but Conan the
yeah,
Barbarian are excellent stories too. I'm not going to say anything about that. And Robert T. Howard is definitely one of those men who how shall I put it? Like, I have some writers that really inspired me to write myself, to start writing myself. Of course, like being inspired by them, but definitely making my writings my own. And this this book, as hopefully other books in the future, are my way of saying thank you to them, and I mean that. It's me laying, like, my books, whatever anyone might think of them, for worse or better, is that, to me, it is like laying flowers on the graves of these great writers. And
yeah.
yeah, that there's definitely that part to it all as well for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Let's see.
it's actually continuing to the tradition, if you will. That is there's definitely that component to it all as well.
Yes. Um, let's see. Is there anything else that I wanted to ask you?
Maybe some questions.
Let's see. Does anybody?
Okay,
Uh,
so yeah, Boar, I need to pay Boar royalties or something. Or no, I don't need to
yes.
for using his image.
Look up. Got them massive lats. I'm envious of the lats and the shoulders. I'm
You
so
know, but
envious.
here is also the thing, guys. I mean, some people are gonna look at this image. It's like, oh, I need to mold my body towards that crazy physique. It's like, well, it would be awesome. I'm not gonna say anything about that. It's like, guys, this is appeal to the. It's sort of like the statues of the Greek deities, right? It's an
Yes.
appeal to perfection. It's not about being that. It's not about being that. You need to be yourself, and if part of being yourself is to have an excellent physique, which is always good, I suppose, so long it comes from a healthy place, is that it's the aspiring too, right? That is why I went with that style as well. It's really, it brings out the vitality in man. It's like this striving to glory and awesomeness. That's what it's really about.
Yeah.
So by all means, if you want to have that sort of physique, go for it. I won't stop you, but understand that if you can't or you won't, it's like it's okay. It's about improving yourself, who you are as a
Yeah.
person. And it's not just uh, yeah, it's like in the writing, Tundros isn't just his physique. It's a big part of what he is, but it's not all he is. His
Yes.
physique is it serves him in that sense too, right? Rather than
Yeah.
he serving his physique. So yeah.
Well, I was about to say I will never attain that sort of physique. It's just impossible for me. I just want them Popeyes forearms to snatch motherfuckers up with. But
Those are
let's see.
excellent, but you can reach that. That's totally doable.
Yeah, we're working on it. It's the process. Does anybody in the audience have any questions for Hans? I think I have asked the questions that I was planning on asking. Does anyone have any questions? We'll give everybody a few minutes to throw them in. Think up a question. Let's see. I'll throw the link again to Hans's YouTube channel in the chat, and I will
Um,
also. What was you going to
uh,
say? I'll also
oh,
throw the
well,
link to the book.
I appreciate that. Yeah, again, I have still a little bit more that I can talk about, I guess. Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
that saying that right there. Train like a Spartan and eat like a Viking. I guess that will help. That will definitely
Yes.
help. But remember to use your mind too, guys.
You got to strike a
Let's
balance.
see. Yeah, and actually, as part of the characters that are present in the story in this book, but perhaps also the following books. Actually, I think definitely so. There is this saying of a man called Thucydides or Thucydides,
Thucydides.
one of the two.
Thucy- I
Uh,
think we call him Thucydides. Thucydides.
Thucydides. Okay,
Yeah, I
it's
think
like
that's how you
he
pronounce it. I'm
he
not
had
sure.
this wonderful quote. It went something along the lines of that he who separates his philosophers from its warriors will have its fighting done by fools and its thinking done by cowards. And that saying alone, it is just like it turned on like a wildfire in my mind. It's like, yes, that is definitely something there that I think modern society is kind of separating. You have like the jock and the nerd, and it's like a separation of the two. And maybe those two are also negatives in and of themselves. But to be a fully rounded man is to be this I guess, yeah, let's say warrior, but at the
Yeah.
same time also this philosopher, like being able to
Warrior
think on
poet.
life. And it's
The
like
warrior
to
poet, you could
question
say.
the warrior philosopher, the warrior poet, being able to think about what you're actually doing, like why are you swinging your sword around, that sort of stuff. And I made mention of it in one of the episodes of the Viking series too. I think with King Horek the First, is that the bodyguards of kings. They were exactly that. These guys were not just bodyguards of the king, they were bodyguards of the people at the same time. These dudes could turn on the king if he went tyrant, or could defend the king if the people went tyrant, if you will.
Yeah.
Now that requires someone who knows what he's doing and who has, insight into man, has psychological insight, while still being able to, yeah, to use that axe or sword or whatever that he is holding, right? And I definitely wanted that in the book as well. That these are people who live under very harsh conditions in a sense, um, and you need to have all your faculties going. If you have the brawn, that's all well and good. But if you're mentally crippled, yeah, well, you're not gonna last very long anyways, because you're gonna do something. You're gonna do something that's gonna get you killed or stuff like that. So yeah, Thucydides, like he nailed it with that one, and that's definitely on my mind a lot. As
Absolutely.
I went through these characters as they flowed in, it's like, okay, so you know, how do I present that in my writing as best as possible, and while still having a
Absolutely.
good time, by the way.
Um, let's see. There was a question in the chat. Let's see. Amara Arian, he asked, where can we give you feedback, Hans?
On Amazon itself, that's totally possible, and that's actually where I would prefer to get feedback. On
Yes,
Amazon
that's.
itself, there should be
I
an
was about to.
option once
I,
you,
you
yeah.
scroll down the link that I just posted in the chat. You scroll down and you can leave a review. You can give it a rating, um, and this helps out the page. You could say because I know I've given a review for a couple of other books. I need to review one. I need to give a review for this one as soon as I get done with this stream. Actually, so that's the best place you would
Yeah.
say.
Right now, that's definitely the best spot, because if you give a rating on Amazon, if enough people do that, it will create a sort of flow, and it pushes the book up into the more, yeah, I don't like saying the word, the mainstream, if you will, where the book is going to be noticed easier. Like right now, the most important thing for me, let's say, or for the book to be realized into society, is that it gets spread far and wide. Whether people who will like it or will dislike it, will see it, that stays in the middle, so long as it's seen. And yeah, to leave comments on Amazon underneath there, that would definitely help with that. All I ask is, well, just be honest about it. I'm not sitting here with any pretenses that, oh, it needs to be, how shall one put it? I just rate the book as you feel it should be rated, and add whatever you want to add in the comments there as you see fit. That's all I ask, because it helps me too. That helps me perfect my work. Um, as far as anywhere else, you can also leave a comment underneath one of my YouTube videos, but that's a bit risky, because my comments get, my videos are constantly shadow banned and all of that stuff. Comments get deleted, likes and views get deleted. It's insane. Well, or
Yeah,
it's yeah, most people go through it these days if they aren't anti-whites. So yeah, you can do it there too, but your big chance is that your comment is going to get lost. Um, I'm also, yeah, this is still a work in coming. I'm working on a blog, but I'm not going to say too much on it yet, because I'm still in the process of making it. But eventually, to have comments there will also be welcome. But I'll have to get back about that with everyone when the blog is finished. So there is that. Yeah,
absolutely.
does that answer the question? I think it
Yes.
does.
Yeah, you did
I
very well.
appreciate it. I appreciate the question. It's a good one, actually. Didn't even
Let's
think about
see.
that one.
Um, let's see. Brad M. He asks, "Are you familiar with Carolyn Emmerich? She talks about the preservation of European culture and animistic
Yeah.
spirituality and folk traditions. Um, what's your thoughts? You like her?
The uh immediately going into, do you like her or
You
don't
don't
you?
like her?
Um I can let me put it like this. As far as Carolyn Emmerich, I'm familiar with her. But that has been years ago, though. I do not know what she
Is
does
she still
in these
around?
days.
Is she
I
still
don't
even
know. I have
around?
absolutely no idea. But I have been familiar with her works once, and as a scholar, I absolutely I can definitely muster respect for her work. As for her conclusions with her findings, I have a lot of questions and a few concerns. But I'll definitely give her credit for her scholastic endeavors and looking into that. That's as far as I am aware of them. Those are pretty good stuff. They're really interesting
Yeah.
and educational. Yeah, I think that's the best. Yeah, I do not know her personally outside of it or anything, so I cannot comment on that. Um, and I might be speaking about 3, 4 years ago, something like that, when I last checked in on her, something as such. But at the time, from what I saw, the scholastic aspect of her work was pretty awesome, actually. At least I got a lot out of it myself.
Absolutely. I liked her. I've just looked at a tiny bit of her stuff. I liked her research and that video. I think I actually had sent that to you months back, Hans. It was about the Norman invasion in England, and it's
Yeah,
inspired me to
yeah.
look a lot. Like I found some really good old books. One in particular, it was written from back in 1909 that talks about the great heathen army that invaded England, and then it goes on into the
Hmm.
Norman invasion. It's really
Yeah, yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
oh, go ahead.
Oh, well, yeah, I made that video on Freemanism, if you have seen it or if you
Yes,
remember it, which
Freemanism.
also speaks on, yeah, or, Venegas, or Brehon law, also as it's known,
Yeah.
Freemanism. I think something that most people should really look into again. There's a lot of rights, if you will, that have been stolen from us and being co-opted, and it's
Yes.
unacceptable, and it has been going on for centuries, guys. So yeah, may if it is to your interest, you may want to look into that too at some point.
Let me see if I can find a link to it. I'll throw it in the chat as well. The video of yours on Freemanism. Um, let's see. There was another question right quick. Runemaster77. Welcome, Runemaster. For Hans, who is his favorite historical or mythological hero?
Oh boy, oh man, now that's a tough question, because I like having a favorite. I do not think I have a favorite. I just have so many. There's so many people from history and mythology that just yeah, that I find awesome. Uh, but you know what? The ones I'm more familiar with, maybe I should bring that up. As far as a historical figure, I think that Horik the First of Denmark, and I made a video on him, as I just mentioned earlier. Uh, Quite a character. This guy, his entire life has been one big battle, and he fought for his people up to the end. And he was so successful that he could not control his success. So that's definitely a man with spirit, a man with character, and he is also an affiliate of a certain Ragnar, which was a chieftain of his. So
Yes.
yeah, uh, I also like, actually, and also like really Arminius. He's a Germanic.
Herman the German,
Okay,
as they call him.
German the German. Yeah, that's what they're also. No, that's also what he's called. Ermanamar, or Ermanamash, I think, is also a name that's been given to him. He, yeah, the man got basically kidnapped by the Roman state and then to be brainwashed, and he to actually have that willpower, that strength of character, to say to himself, "No, I'm going to stand by my tribe and by my people," and then sure as can be, led a successful counter-offensive against the Roman legions and absolutely decimating them. It's not always about the success either. There are great heroic people who did die in the attempt, but just for the heroism in and of itself, I can really stand by that. I'm just
Oh
naming
God,
a few
yeah.
successful ones by kind of by coincidence, I guess, but uh, Yeah, yeah. Those are, for example, two guys that really speak to me a lot, and there are many more. As far as mythological characters, I guess Wodan, the deity, the god Wodan,
Oh
or
yes.
some know him as Odin too. Some say he's yeah. I have always had a bit of trouble. I'm not sure if these two are exactly the same, but for the sake of brevity, um, yeah, the being the deity of seeking knowledge, and the deity of fury,
Yes.
but the blue flame,
The
cold,
frenzied one.
cold, calculated, exact fury, the energy, the apex of man. Oh, yeah, it gives me
The
tingles
frenzied
when I
one.
think about it.
Yes.
That's the
Um,
deity that's really appealing to me as well.
well,
And
dude, I
yeah, there
love
are
I
other
love Redbot.
yeah.
I love Redbad, the king of
King
Frisia.
Red, yeah, yeah, yeah. King
He was,
Redbutt. That's
he was the only person that ever defeated Charles Martel in a pitched
yeah.
battle. The only man.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something to
The,
admire.
and I mean, King Redbutt, his attitude, like I've always looked at it as such with that man. Is like he would rather be punished for loyalty than rewarded for treachery. I mean, oh,
Yeah,
can you
he'd
imagine that attitude?
yeah, he
Can you
said
imagine that?
he'd rather be in hell with his ancestors than in heaven with a bunch of strangers.
That's exactly what it comes down to. It's like, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like how it always makes my heart skip a beat. It really does.
Yeah. Well,
These
I mean,
guys,
that's your native land there, Hans. That's your ancestry, you could say. Absolutely, for sure.
definitely.
Um, let's see. I want to say
Frisian
hey.
king.
I want to say hi to Betwixt in the chat. How you doing, Betwixt? He's also known as the German Pointer. I had him on this stream. It's been a couple of months back now, 2 or 3 months ago. I want to say encourage everybody to check out his YouTube channel. He's got some interesting interviews. He's just restarted his YouTube channel. Let's see. RuneMaster77 said that was an awesome answer, Hans. Yeah, I
You're
wanted to help
welcome.
Hans. I wanted to help Hans out here because this is also twofold. DVX Publishing that published his book is also my friend Ronan's publishing
Hmm.
house.
Yep.
So it's helping both of them out. If you buy a copy of this book, you've got you something to read that you can read uh, within a day or two, and it helps out two genuinely good men. So
I really
it's
appreciate that.
like
Yeah.
establishing
Uh,
these small actions, as small as my channel is, you know I mean, it's just small actions like this is how you build up something that is parallel system, you could say. And I know you have to go through
mhm.
Amazon, unfortunately, which that does suck, but I mean, it helps our guys out, you know
Yeah, the
and
thing with that is, I mean, you have to work like there's this saying, you have to row with the oars that you have, right?
yeah,
Or
exactly,
you're
you have
not
to
rowing at
use
all. It's
what
one
you
of the
have.
two. And it's that people, I mean, I don't want to be all judgmental or what have you, because that's not what it's about. What I want to say is, we're building up, right? It's like so many good folk, they want too much at once. And I understand why they want it, because they just want the misery to be over. But you have to do it in steps, and you have to do it with the people immediately that you can work with. There are some people who claim that we should all just wait for this big leader to show up, or we should all just get the same uniform, or we all need to have the same religion, and so forth and so on. It's like, no, how about looking at yourself, know what you can do. What can
Yes.
I do? Am I a good writer? Am I a good dancer? Am I a good speaker? Am I a good technician? Whatever it's going to be. And then you ask yourself the next question: what can I do now that can improve the situation? If everyone do, it still blows my mind. If everyone, for example, had done this 10 years ago, everything would be so much better by now already. But
Yeah, you have to build. It takes time.
too many folk in my experience are just waiting and waiting and hoping that everything is resolved, like with this one thing that's going to come out of nowhere and we're all going to be saved. And no, that's
No,
not how life works.
it
And it's
isn't.
okay. Yeah, give yourself some time. Think about what you can do with the talents, experiences, the abilities that you have. What is it that I can do? Ask yourself that. What can you do now? It does not matter how small, it does not matter if you can only do it for like 2 minutes a day, but because that is where, for example, I started. I mean, I'm no stranger to 12-hour shifts and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I could say whatever, on Sundays or what have you, I'm just gonna lie on the couch all day to rest because I really need that rest. Or I could just say to myself, you know what, I'll lie on that couch all Sunday, but I'll take 10 minutes out of that day to write.
yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
here is where you see one example also of what one guy can do on his own, and then like through Southern, I get to know of Ronan, and Ronan is did the same thing for himself. With all the work that he's doing on the side, I can still cram out like a publishing company. It's just amazing. I can still
Yeah,
cram out this publishing company, and I'm gonna do so. Nobody told him to do that. He didn't need to have a medal on or a special hat on his or what have you. No, he just went for it. And now these two works are combined. That's communal work right there. And it
yeah, and I
does
mean
not need anyone, yeah, no dictatorship required, no leaders, just do what you can on your own time. And it
I
doesn't
had.
matter if it's, come again?
Oh,
I didn't
oh,
catch you there.
I was going to say, I don't know if I don't think I had told you, but I mean, it was my friend Patrick, that had gotten me together with Ronan. So you see, we hand
Yeah,
things
yeah.
off to each other. We open doors for each other, and then it can open doors. I mean, it's really kind of beautiful in a way, how these things work. It's
Just
impressive.
to, yeah, and just to answer Moy to Boy, so the cat boy Führer isn't our salvation? I don't think so. I
I
don't
thought
think
I
so.
thought I thought
Ooh.
Fuentes or Mike Enoch was supposed to be the great white savior. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Yeah,
Oh boy.
I'm not a big fan of a lot of these celebs that are foisted before us in these circles. I mean, I don't.
Oh,
I'm just kind of
Southern,
indifferent.
real quick.
Anyway, go ahead.
I think, is it just me or are you getting a bit more quiet? Or maybe, guys, is Southern getting quiet for you guys too?
Let me
Or
see.
oh, now
Can
the
you hear
sound
me
picked
now?
up again. That was weird.
Can you?
Yeah, I can hear you now. That was
Okay.
weird.
Huh. Strange.
Uh, yeah. For me, it's fine. I
Um.
guess. I hope it is for everyone else as well.
Hey, people in the chat, can you hear me? Everything coming through right now? Can you hear me? Yeah, like
Well,
okay.
apparently it sounds
Sounds
good.
good.
Okay. All
Sounds
right.
good. I appreciate the
Um,
audience. They they let me know what's up. I appreciate you guys. Um well, let's see. Is there any other questions? Any other questions in the audience for Hans? Anything at all?
in the meanwhile, if people have other questions, I think it's worth throwing in there again. Yeah, I mean, all of this has been a communal effort by guys that are internationally. Everyone involved lives maybe like half a continent away from the other guys, and yet here we are. And it's still in its beginning stages, right? But it shows that we can do this. And I have excellent people, uh, Simon JJ to name one guy, Little Frick, who's also an excellent
Oh, I
lady.
love Little Freak. I love her. She's awesome.
Yeah, Hailstorm, and so many others. All of you excellent people who have been helping me out spreading the word or buying a copy or doing both. Like, that's where it's at. And these people are in their own lives are also touching others
Yes.
who then also might come say hello. Uh, what more do you need really to get things moving, to get things going? As far as I'm concerned. To answer Betwixt real quick, was this book originally written in Hanz's native language? No, it was immediately written in English.
Um, it wasn't. It was originally written in your language, correct?
No, no, no. It immediately came from English.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I'm just curious, Hans. I know I've probably asked you this before. How many different languages are you able to speak? That's one thing you Europeans
Uh,
have a leg up on us
um,
Americans is y'all are able to
well,
speak.
let me
Go ahead.
let's see here. I can speak well as best to the best of my ability, I guess. I can speak English, I suppose. I speak Dutch as well. I speak a bit of French. I speak some Swedish, more or less. I can understand German. I do not always know how to answer it. Uh, is there any? I'm pretty sure there is one other somewhere buried in the mass, but yeah, I guess I'm gonna leave it with that.
See, that's so impressive. I can only speak English and I can barely speak it grammatically correct. So, yeah.
Shall I give you guys a secret how I learned English? You're probably going to laugh.
How'd you learn it?
So, as a child, I used to play a lot of video games back when Nintendo was still a thing. I'm not even sure that still exists. And just playing these games, being in English as they were, I just learned it that way. I mean,
Hey,
most
man.
people find that funny when I say, just if you I mean, it sounds silly, right? Because you're playing the silly game or whatever it's going to be, but sure enough, like I picked up English along the way, and then after a while, you do it for after a while you just pick up an English book and I start reading that, and I learn of all these fancy new words, and it develops from there. Took a few years, but sure enough, here we are. I didn't learn this in school at all. I had some
Yeah,
English in school, but it's laughable what I got. No
absolutely.
Italian. I understand a few words of Italian and Spanish left and right, but again, it's not a language I can speak in.
I wish I had someone that could. I need to find someone that could speak Italian rather well because I have me and my friend. We've got some books on the years of lead and some documents that would. It'd be helpful if we could get them translated. Neither one of us can fucking speak a word of Italian.
I was actually there are some books that I'm contemplating on approaching the authors about and to translate it for them, but that can be in the immediate. Actually, maybe I shouldn't have mentioned that altogether.
Oh,
But
it's all right.
translating, if anyone has an English book that he wants to see translated in one of the languages I mentioned, yeah, it might be worth at some point to reach out to me, but I really have to. I need to have gotten out of the 9 to 5 life, if that makes sense, or in my case, more 6 till 6 life.
Yeah, just working all the time. Man can't do anything good if he has to work all the time.
It's yeah. I mean, work is fine. It's jobbing. That is just
Yeah,
it just eats your life away. That's all it really
that's how
does.
mine's. That's how my life's been lately. I swear, I'm just busy all
Yeah,
the
yeah.
time, and it's just it's cut into my fishing time severely. Um, let's see. I'm going to post again the link to order Hans's book, published by DVX Publishing, in the chat from Amazon. There it is. Hey, what's going on, Wes? How you doing? He said I can't get the link to Hans's YouTube channel to work. Hold on a second. I'll
Oh, that's
post
just
it too.
amazing.
Hans, I think
Just all the
they're just screwing you
all
over
these
left and right.
links all these links are just malfunctioning willy-nilly out of the blue. If you use my name and you type it into
I got
YouTube
it.
search bar, you should be able to find it very quickly. I mean, my YouTube channel is named after me, if you will. So there's always that way. Takes a moment longer, but not much.
All right, let me see. I'm gonna
Mm,
post it. I'll see if this works. Paste. There we go. All right, see if that works, Wes. I hope it does. Hopefully, it ain't being stupid. Might have to copy and paste it into your browser. Well, oh, he said good. Hell yeah. Um,
all right.
well, guys, I guess we're coming into the home stretch here. If anybody is able to think up of any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. Hans,
Yeah,
I wanted to give you a couple of minutes here because I gotta run to the bathroom right quick. Uh,
no, that's
if you
fine. Actually, yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, if you wanted to talk a little bit about your YouTube channel, some of your work on there, if you wanted to do that for just I mean, I'll be in there just for a minute. I got to piss like a
No,
racehorse.
take go
Give
go
me,
right ahead. Take your
give me
time.
just a second. I'll be right back.
Uh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So, guys, as far as my book is concerned, I mean, for me, uh, let's say let's say fantasy is just not your thing. That's fine. If you still want to help, I mean, it would really be appreciated to just spread the word around. That's what works for me. Um, as far as is this my first book? Yes, Andel. It is. It's the very first book of mine that got published, and I have aspirations to other books. There's definitely that as well. It's just like I've said like 5 times already. It's really about how much time I can free up, and again, it's all based on the more that people know about this book, the more widespread it becomes, the more copies get sold, the more time I can free up from,
We'll be here soon.
yeah, from job life, if you will. So yeah, there is that. Now, Southern mentioned something about talking a bit about the Viking series and about my YouTube channel as it stands. So if any of you guys who might have been following me for a while have questions there, I guess you're welcome to it. I think we've gone over most of the important points about the book in general, Clash of the
Yeah,
Scythii.
I'm
Which do I
finally back.
prefer, writing the book or editing it? Oh, the writing is definitely my favorite part. The writing is definitely my favorite part. It's the creative process. The editing is, I mean, yeah, for me, it's good to edit, of course. It's important to do that. Mm, but like the story is already written, and that's where my passion lies. That's where my vocation is centered. It's really about, is it out there and has it been materialized, if you will, on paper. At what age did I become aware and interested in European history and mythology? What was your first introduction? That's actually definitely since early childhood. I was introduced real quick. My family, we were very well, this is before the computer era, if you will. So going to the library was still a thing. It was in its fading days, if you will, but it was still a thing for my family. Came from a small village, so technology came a bit late, anyways. But we usually went to the library, and for me, I was just always drawn to the history section, just like that. No real eye-opening experiences or anything particularly amazing. Just this feeling of, hey, knights, pirates, Vikings, and I still remember that for me, there was this one book, and it was actually, it's going to sound almost stereotypical because it's the only god people seem to know, or almost the only one. But there was this writing, and just follow me on this for a second. So I was reading on Odin. There was a book about Vikings, and I was curious, so I went into it, and it said something along the lines of, yeah, Odin is this terrible deity that they worshipped and they sacrificed their children to him, and whoa, and and I don't know why, but like that name Odin, that really stuck with me. It's like, whoa, that's there's strength there, there's power in that name. And then the sacrificing part, I read that's like, well, that's just stupid. Why would you do that? Sure enough, it was propaganda, right? But the name itself, it really pulled me in with it. And then for many years, I never looked into the deities. It's not like it started all there, no, or it did in a sense, but it wasn't a clean start. For years I was out of it, just yeah, reading all kinds of stuff, and then yeah, let's say 10 years later, 12 years later, suddenly that name Odin reemerged.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
I really started looking into, okay, what is this guy about? And then you start reading about the family, about how he could be looked at, and I just kept digging from there. So yeah, you could say childhood, definitely early childhood. Does that answer
Let's
your question
see.
a little bit, or am I meandering?
No, you're good. You're good. Betwixt, he has another question. Has Hans ever been to Ireland? Has he an
Oh, I
interest in
want to.
Celtic mythology?
I so much would like to go to Ireland. I really do. I want to visit the what was it? What is it called? The Hill of Tara, for example. That's. I want to look up like that white giant. I don't know all the names, but yeah, Ireland is definitely interesting to me, and actually all of Britain. It really is a. Britain is almost like, or the British Isles in general, are a sort of druidic treasure chest. The druids have also been always very appealing to me as yeah the maybe more archetypal in a sense, like the old wise man, if you will. But Celtic mythology also definitely has inspired me a lot. I really love Celtic artistry. The As a child, I remember playing with my spear. Well, I had to go through a spear and a shield, getting rid of the Romans, of course, as one does when you're a Celt. um, yeah, I like deities as Tutatis or Tautatis. In modern day French, they still use his name as Tu, or in Ireland, it's Tuath, the tribe, Tuath de Danann, for those who are familiar with that, and all of that stuff. Like these connections interest me, these lingual connections. Like, do they actually align? And the Gauls, of course, like their strife. Guys like Vercingetorix and have visited the statue of Ambiorix, which is a guy that did it before it was, who fought against the Romans before it was cool. Visited his statue, just amazing piece. Uh, yeah. Don't break my mouth open about the Celts either, because I do not talk about them that much. Mainly dig into the Vikings, but the Celtic tribes,
They're
what
fascinating
are
in
all their
their own
names?
right.
The Arverni, the
Absolutely.
Aedui, the Remi, the Bellovaci or Bellovaci, the Nervii, all of these guys. What are the Catuvellauni who went to Britain? There was actually a close connection there, in a sense. A lot of northern Gallic slash Belgic, I suppose, tribes went to live in, all the way up into Ireland. So, okay, yeah, I think I'm gonna stop there. Otherwise, I'm gonna keep meandering. But I know my Celtic stuff a little bit too.
Awesome.
Say what you will about my boy Odin, but he makes things happen. Oh yes, absolutely. Drawing and a few retards too, though. Unfortunately, yes, Bor. Yes, I know. It's tough, but you can't really do anything without that, I suppose.
Let's see. One more. We got
Is
another
Hans
question.
aware?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh,
Oh,
is
you
Hans
you were
aware of
reading it.
Brennus? Yeah, I get all excited. Is Hans aware of Brennus, the Gallic chieftain who plundered Rome? Oh, you mean the guy who made the quote, "Woe to the vanquished"? I think that was him, while the Romans were complaining about being looted. He just took all their stuff and he said, "Yeah, woe to the vanquished. Yeah, tough on you for being defeated." I guess. I think that's him. I'm aware of the first time, as far as I know, that Rome was sacked was actually by the Gauls, and I think by then actually the Romans were already trying to get into the Gaul because of a lot of gold mines. Right now, the Gauls used gold predominantly for art, not so much for money, but the Romans were already yeah, getting like going into that modernity aspect where money is taking precedence over bartering, and they got their asses whooped because they fought in the Greek style phalanxes, upon which the Celtic tribes just surrounded them time and again. They didn't really fight. Well, yeah, like I said, they just surrounded them, and the phalanx can't do much about that. That's as far as I know.
Awesome.
That's it's like 300. BC or 500 BC. I don't quite remember the time span there.
You've got a very good wealth of knowledge about these things. That's awesome.
Well, I've really looked into it for a very long time, and actually, going through a lot of even just comic books and stuff like that. There are always snippets in there that you can find, and yeah.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely. Let's
but yeah,
see. Did you have any I was gonna say, did you have any parting thoughts you wanted to throw out there before we close the stream down? Once again, I want to thank you, Hans, for coming on. I've really enjoyed it. Uh, I'm going to once again paste the link to get Hans's book in the chat. There it is. To anybody watching, support our guest here, support the main man, and support DVX Publishing, our friend
I
Ronan,
really would
because
appreciate it, and yeah, and the guys would do of DVX Publishing.
absolutely.
Um, yeah, well,
Get yourself
if
a book.
you Um, yeah, so then it depends a bit. If you think it's the time to close, I still have time myself, just so you know, right? If you yeah, if you or anyone wants to get into the Viking series a bit more, or just into my YouTube channel, I mean, I guess now is the time to ask. Otherwise, I
Yeah.
guess, slowly but surely we can close it off. It depends on what everyone wants, really. I'm able still to go on for a little bit more.
Okay. Here's a link to Hans's YouTube channel. Paste once again. Um. Well, since you got a few more minutes, I could take a few more minutes.
It's
What
up
do
to
you
you. I mean, I
think?
won't hold you here if you
Oh
have
no,
to
you're
go.
fine. I could take about 15 more minutes. What do you think? This is a broad question, and I know me and you have talked about this before, but we'll give the audience a chance to hear it. Uh, what do you think the solution is for our people going forward? Um,
Well,
I know that's one you could that's
that's
one you could write books about. That's one you could write an
I think there is not a, let me put it this way, there's not really a single solution, and in that in and of itself lies a great strength, if you will. It's I think, and the way how I look at it is that I've seen over the last few years now how people simply, like I said earlier, people are waiting for a leader. People are waiting till some guy comes along, tells them which uniform to wear or what to do, basically. And the solution all this time to me seems to really have been just do what you can with your own talents, in your own time, in your own way, and reach out to others. And as is evident with, with my book, I guess with me in general, if you just stick your head out there, then everything will, then the ball truly gets rolling. It also makes it so much more difficult for people who have like decades, if not centuries, of experience with infiltrating systems. If you are just basically like what could you compare it to? If everyone is just doing his own thing without a boss or without anyone to answer to, then there are no places that can be infiltrated, if you will. If everyone is just doing his own thing with the people that he or she, requires to work with, wants to work with, it altogether seems far more healthy that way. And if you take care of all these little things, then the big things will take care of themselves, I would dare almost say. Now, also, a lot of people think that everything is going to end in this sort of cataclysmic, you know, carpet bombing horror show
the
way
collapse.
of,
The
yeah,
collapse.
like some
Yeah.
sort of vast war-like scenario. I really think the issue lies more. I think it's going to be more along the lines of what happened to Moldavia in the 20th century when farming got collectivized and all of that stuff, as we may not necessarily see today. Jill Bates and all these other guys. Uh, Not happening at all. Like I
Yeah.
think the real answer there is that I think that first and foremost, the anti-white, is going to try to starve us, poison us, essentially weaken good folk, so they cannot, to say they do not even come to the point of defending themselves. So
Yeah,
you
they
need
want a
to have your
docile
healthy,
population. They want a
yeah,
docile,
it's,
easy to control population.
yeah, there is definitely that aspect to it. And what does that tell you? What does it then require for you to do to not be part of that, to not fall into that trap? And I'm not going to tell you that, because everyone needs to figure it out for him or herself in his or her own way. And there are people who give a lot of advice, but the answers in most cases seem to be pretty obvious to me, at least. I know what I am doing to secure, I suppose, myself before I can secure, let's say, my entire people. You know,
Yeah.
um, the economic way of also impoverishing people is also, like, I hear a lot of people worry about there being less children being born, and that it has to do with brainwashing, etc., etc. There is that aspect to it, but there is actually a far more prevalent problem that people just cannot afford to have many children anymore. And you could just say, oh, but just have them, but that is not an answer to young couples. It's like, no, a young couple needs to be, wants to, or a responsible young couple will have children that they are fairly certain of that they can take care of till these children are ready to take care of themselves, right?
Yeah.
So what can we do, or what can I do, for example, to make it easier? And you're gonna have these economists and what have you, who do want to do right by our people, who will have answers to that. You're going to have people who maybe immediately, without having any professional attachments to any of that in general, who can have their answers too as well. Uh, I know it's a bit vague, but truly, in a sense, everyone needs to come up with his or her personal answer first. And then you start talking with people from there. Hey, I came up with this idea. Can we apply that? Does that work for my immediate community? Can I reach out to people on the other side of the planet? Or maybe it doesn't work for me, but it might work for that guy, so I'm going to bring it up to him. You know what I'm saying with that?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I know. And again, I know it's all a bit on the vague side, but these hardcore, hardline answers are simply not there. The world life is just a bit too messy for that, and just accept that, and
You have to
and,
have a
and you
lot of
can work with it.
nuance. There's a lot of nuance in the world. You have
Yeah,
to.
I mean it's never straightforward. There are people, for example, who call them, who say they will do right by our own, but then they simply don't. I mean, what do you do with that? Well, if this guy, if it's all based on this guy being followed because he has the right haircut or uniform or whatever it's going to be, yeah, well, you're not going to get anywhere anyways. And we have examples of that over the last few years alone. So does that also not then warn us that perhaps we shouldn't go that route? I mean, also, like the ancient heroes, Achilles, or
Yes.
uh, let's say,
Odysseus,
oh, and
Achilles,
yeah, well, let's throw Hector in there as
even
well.
Hector. Yes,
Heracles,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah, Heracles, Hercules, if you prefer, Perseus, all of these guys, they work together with others, but there is something about our way, like the culture of heroism, where you first say to yourself, what can I do? What is it that I am capable of that I can do, and not tomorrow, no, now. What can I do like 5 minutes from now, something like that, and then actually do it. And it's represented also in, it's very flamboyant, but for example, Achilles had his own armor, Perseus had his own armor. They didn't both have the same exact helmet on, or what have you. They didn't have the
Yeah.
exact same shield. They
I
had
mean,
their own
Achilles, I was just going to say,
yore.
Achilles, he had his myrmidons, he had his own crew, his own men.
Yes, but these, and the thing with that is, though, these myrmidons they were not, I mean, in the movies they all give him the same exact outfit because that is cheap to make, and it looks real nice, I guess, to the modern eye, the
Yeah.
modernist's eye. But the actual mythical figures, like each of those dudes had his own personally made outfit that was made for his abilities, and for how he worked best in the crew together with the others, as is military mindset still today, right?
Yeah.
If one guy needs a 6-foot spear and the other guy is better with a 2-foot javelin, oh, I'm just saying something. It sounds a bit silly, perhaps, but why have you? I mean, that's exactly what you're going to give them because they're going to be at their maximum uh, effect that way. And that is, I think, that is sort of where the true lessons lie in how to resolve a lot of issues today. And it's also just saying to yourself as to not to go alone. Like parallel communities, as so many are talking about, is an example of that. But it can be even more simple than that. It's just saying, yeah, you know what? Instead of um, what would be a good example? Like I'm gonna look in how do I legally pay less taxes than I do already? How can I um, what other ways are there? Like, what can I make myself rather than go to some, store where you get this chewed out, often already used, yeah, recycled wool or something like that that you don't even know what happened with it that makes you sick. Uh, Getting that instead. No, look, what can I make myself? Who do I know who can make that? So yeah, life might slow down a little. It might be a bit inconvenient, but that's because it's a groove you need to slowly get into. And I'm not saying that you need to throw yourself full tilt in there. No, work gradually. It's like an addiction, right? Uh, one of the examples that I might be able to give. Let's say someone has an addiction to drinking pop, some kind of soda.
Yeah.
Instead of just immediately going cold turkey and quitting, which is one way to go about it, but it's often for the vast majority of people, this is not how getting rid of it works because after a week or a month, they're getting back into it. You gradually build off or build down. So, what does that mean? Let's say you have a guy and he drinks 2 bottles of pop every day. And instead of immediately quitting, it's like, okay, the next day it's going to be a bottle and a half. And the day after, a bottle, just 1 bottle. And the day after, it's a bottle and a half again. And then the day after that, it's a bottle and then half a bottle. And then at the end again, a full bottle. And then from the full bottle to half a bottle to no bottle to a glass, maybe, if it is really necessary. And then go back to half a bottle, then the glass, and then nothing. And so gradually, in that way, you work your body, your mind into this new way of life. And that is one of the ways how you can deal with addictions as sure as comfort and convenience today are addictions, as I see it. I
Yes.
definitely have done a lot of that myself, and I've been living ever healthier for it ever since. That's the best I want to give to people. I do not want anyone to. I don't want anyone to tell, do it this way, do it that way, and no, no, figure it out for yourself and do it gradually. Take your time. You have time. And don't let anyone fearmonger you or bully you into saying that this is not true. You are alive, you still have breath in your lungs, you can still do something with that. That is a more healthier way, I find, to deal with it. And yeah, that's I hope that answers your question a little bit.
That was a great answer. I enjoyed it. The positivity of it all. That's something
Yeah,
that
and
is
just
absolutely needed.
yeah, and again it comes back down, I guess we come full circle because with my book, I hope that I can give people something to learn from perhaps, but also just have a good time. Just have a good time. Have a laugh,
Yes.
relax, take it easy, and refresh yourself before you get back into it, whatever you're doing, right?
Yes.
And well, there you go. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm going to throw the link one more time in the chat to get Hans's book, Thunraz the Thulian. I'll also put a link to his YouTube channel. Um, well, let me copy it here. Ah, damn it. I wish I had a way to like corral all the links that to where I could just access them easy instead of having to do this manually. I'm sure there's a way, but my boomer ass has not figured it out yet. um, so yeah, Hans, I want to thank you again for taking the time to come on here, and I hope that this will help you out. and Ronan over at DVX Publishing. And I wanted to turn the audience on to a nice little short work of fiction. And I hope that, what does it say? Bormagni said, Thunraz the Thulian is currently unavailable. Did the link not work? Is the link not working now? Because I may have.
Well, what is? I really need to. I guess. I guess I know who to call in a few minutes and see
It's
what's up.
Amazon.
It
Because
has been so. Yeah, some people might have noticed there has been some issues of late. I guess we're not out of them yet.
yeah, I don't
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
understand.
But we're gonna get it done. We're gonna see this through. That's for certain.
Yes. Hey, little frig. Yeah, I'm sorry. This stream will be left up, of course. So you can watch it whenever you get the time. But Hans, any last words? Any parting thoughts? Anything at
Well,
all?
I definitely want to say thank you for everyone's time, and also thank you to yourself, Southern, for bringing me in and letting me go on for a little bit. I also
Oh,
appreciate all the
absolutely.
questions. Um, yeah, and for anyone that feels generous or or helpful altogether, um, for me, if you want to buy a copy, it's very much appreciated. If fantasy, high adventure, pulp fiction, whatever you want to call it, if it doesn't really appeal to you, just sharing the word and go wild if you want to. That is definitely what will help me, and it will also help DVX Publishing. And yeah, for me, I've said it before, to be able to be a public to be the author of a published book, it's always been a dream of mine. The dream has come true, and
Well, I
yeah,
hope it's the first of many, many more. Can't
well,
wait.
that all depends. That all depends on the success of it all, but that is definitely something that's on my mind. And yeah, thank you everyone for your time, and you all have a good one. And bye bye.
I want to thank everybody. Thank you, Hans, for coming along. I think you're tied. You and Patrick are neck and neck for the guest that's appeared on my streams the most. It's always great to have you on. And chat, thank you everybody that stopped by. Check out Hans's book, and I mean it's just it's if you're in Ameriqua as I like to call it, it's only about $10. Well worth it, and it's enjoyable. And guys, I want to thank y'all again for stopping by, and I will talk to y'all soon. Bye bye.